Hi all. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a voice mailbox using Twilio Studio in a very small amount of code so that callers can leave you a voicemail. I'm going to show you how to create the studio flow, connect the flow to a phone number, and then we're going to write a short Python script that'll let you retrieve transcripts of the voicemails that users have left. So let's get into it and first get started by building our studio flow. You're going to have to first log into the console with your Twilio account. If you don't already have a Twilio account, feel free to use the referral link in the notes, and that'll give you a $10 credit to get you started with Twilio, which is more than enough to get you through this tutorial. So once you're in your console, select the Explore Products option from the left-hand menu and click Developer Tools and select the Studio product. On the next page, we'll see a list of all the different flows associated with your account. And to start a new flow, you can click this blue check mark and give your flow a name. We'll call this one Voice Mailbox. When you start a new flow, Twilio is going to give you a number of options. There's a number of templates available for accomplishing common tasks that you may do within Twilio Studio. Everything from appointment reminders, autoresponders, surveys, call forwarding, and you can choose any of these to kind of get inspiration and ideas as a way to get started within Twilio Studio. For this tutorial though, we're going to build something from scratch. So make sure you have the Start from Scratch option selected and click Next. Okay, so let's start with a blank flow like you see here. There's two main components to this blank flow that are worth noting. Number one is the trigger box. The trigger box defines three different origins for people interacting with your flow. People can interact via an incoming message, a voice call, or through the REST API. And for each one of these origins, you can define custom flows and custom experiences for the user, depending on what type of channel they're interacting with your flow with. For this tutorial, we're going to focus on this incoming call piece since we're building a voice mailbox. The second part worth noting is this widget library. This widget library contains a number of different actions that you can use to customize the experience of your flow. You can incorporate logic, incorporate a number of different voice actions, text messaging. You can run custom code, whether that's TWIML, Twilio functions, or making external HTTP requests. And you can even incorporate other Twilio products like Autopilot and Flex. So using the incoming call trigger, we're going to drag some of these widgets to build the flow that we want for building our voice mailbox. So the behavior that we want is when people call our phone number, we want to basically take three actions. First, we want to provide them with a greeting and tell them to leave a voicemail. Second, we want to record their voicemail. And then finally, when the voicemail is done, we want to say thank you for leaving a message and that we'll get back to them as soon as possible. So the way you can incorporate widgets in the flow is just a simple drag and drop. So now we have this say play widget, which lets us define something that we want to say to the user. And what we can do is we can build a transition to say when there's an incoming call, we want this to run. And when we click on a widget, we can customize what exactly that widget is going to do. So by default, you get this say play one name. We can rename this to greeting so we have a better idea of what this widget represents. Next is we can provide some text that we want our widget to say. So we can say, hi, thanks for your call. Leave a message after the beep. And then we can select the language, the message voice, a bunch of different options, and we can save this. So now we have a greeting. And once you drag a widget onto the grid, you can notice down here there's this audio complete. And these are the different events that we can use to transition to the next portion of our flow. And so once we say our greeting, we want to record the voicemail. So we can drag the record voicemail widget to our flow, and we can make another transition from the greeting to the voicemail. So you can see there's a line from greeting to record voicemail. And on the record voicemail, we can again customize this experience, either how long of a pause to stop recording, specifying a specific key press on the dial pad that'll stop recording, and also how long you want to record for. So by default, 3,600 seconds, which is 6 minutes. What's important for this project is we have the option to have Twilio perform the transcription of that voicemail when it's received. By default, this is turned to off. We want to make sure that's turned on. And then we can do we can control whether to trim white space, so we'll trim silence from the call, and we'll also make sure we play a beep. So we'll set this to true, and then we'll save this. So finally, the last thing we want to do is say a thank you, like thanks, and let the caller know that we'll get back to their message. So again, we can pull the say play widget into our flow. This record voicemail has 3 different events attached to it, and we want to do this recording complete, and we want to pass that when the recording completes. We want to say thank you. So we'll just rename this widget, and we'll say thanks for your message. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. And to be consistent, we'll use the English US voice and then Alice and save that to our flow. And there we have it. That is our full flow. So now when we get an incoming call and we attach this flow to that call, we'll have a greeting, record a voicemail, and then we'll say thank you. So the last step here is once you've made all your changes, you can hit publish, and that will publish the changes to your flow so you can utilize them later. So now that we have our flow completed, our next step is to attach this flow to a phone number so that when people call, we can collect a voicemail from them. So let's do that next. Our Studio flow with a Twilio phone number. From the menu on the left, select Phone Numbers to view your list of active phone numbers. If you don't already have a Twilio phone number, in the upper right, you can click Buy a Number to purchase a number through Twilio. When you're buying a number, just make sure it has a voice capability associated with it. Once you have a number, come back and click on the number you want to associate with your Studio flow. Scroll down to the Voice and Facts section. This is where you can instruct Twilio how to handle all incoming phone calls to your phone number. In this case, we want all incoming phone calls to be handled by our voice mailbox flow that we had just created. Under A Call Comes In, change the webhook selection to Studio Flow. Now, in the next drop-down, select the voice mailbox flow that we had created and click Save at the bottom of the page. All incoming calls to this phone number will now be handled by our Studio flow. So let's try it out by calling our phone number and leaving a voicemail. Now that we have our flow connected to a phone number, let's call that number and see what happens.
Hi, thanks for your call. Leave a message after the beep.
Hi, I'm just giving you a call and leaving a quick message. Call me back when you get a chance.
Thanks for your message. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
And that's exactly how we drew it up. When we built our flow, we had a greeting, we collected a voicemail, and then we said thank you and that we'll get back to you. And that's exactly what happened when I made that phone call. So now that we have our flow set up to a phone number and people can call that phone number and leave a voicemail, the next step is being able to retrieve all of those voicemail transcripts. And for that, we're going to have to go dive into our IDE and write a little bit of code to use the Twilio API to extract out those transcripts. So we're going to write a little Python script that's going to get our transcriptions from the voicemails that callers have left on our Twilio phone number. So to do this, you're going to need your Twilio account SID as well as your Twilio auth token. It's really important that you store these as environmental variables, and you do not, under no circumstance, you should not hard code these into your code. If you are looking for ways to safely access these types of sensitive information within your code, I've provided a link in the notes where that'll show you a couple ways that you can utilize these values without hard coding them into your scripts. So to start, this is kind of a baseline script that is going to read my account token, my account SID and my auth token from the environmental files, as well as the Twilio number that I set up our Studio Flow to use. And with those, I'm going to initialize a Twilio client that will give me access to the Twilio REST API that I'm going to use to retrieve our call transcripts. So let's put a quick note here. We're going to set up, this is basically setting up the Twilio client. And then once we have that client set up, we're going to get the calls to our phone number. So I'm going to create a calls variable. And with the Twilio client, I can say Twilio's client.calls.list. And there's a number of different parameters that you can set to filter out the calls. The two I'm going to use are which is basically what number the caller was calling. So that's going to be your Twilio number, and I've stored that in this variable here. And quick note, your phone number should be in this format. Should be a string, have your plus sign, country code, and then your phone number after that. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this start time after. And I'm going to set this to be yesterday so that I only get phone calls that I know are associated with this project and that I don't have anything hanging out from previous projects I've used. So what this is going to provide is a list of calls. And I'm just going to quickly print this out. And save this. And we're just going to run the script really quick and kind of show you what we're getting so far. So all I have is basically two call objects here. And I'm printing their just SID value, the unique identifier for that call. If we go look at the documentation really quick, each call is represented as a call resource within Twilio. And these call resources have a ton of information. Your account information, when the call occurred, how long the call was, who the call was from, where it was to, etc. So there's a ton of information available for each phone call. The one piece of information we're most interested in for this use case is this recordings sub-resource. This is where if you have a recording for your call, it'll be stored. So this is what we want to access to get any call recordings and ultimately get the transcripts from our call. So in the notes you can find, I'll include this documentation. One thing about Twilio is the documentation's phenomenal. So I'll put this in the notes, and there are also a lot of really great code examples for showing you, for example, how you can make, filter calls by certain criteria, and all that here that you can use to get started. But let's go back into our code. So we care about, I'm just going to get rid of this printing. We care about, for each call, we care about any recording associated with that call. And with each recording, each recording that we have in the call, we want to go to the API, fetch that recording, and then with the recording, each recording is going to have transcriptions. And what we're going to do is, for now, what we're going to just do is print the call and the transcript, and then we'll just put a little space here. Let's rerun our code. And there we go. We have our two calls and we have transcripts. This is one transcript right here. Hi, I'm just giving you a call and leave you a quick message. Call me back when you get a chance. Another one, hi, this is Matt giving you a call. Give me a call back when you get a chance. I think both of these I've used in the project so far. I've used in this project to test it out. So as you can see, all this information is really available here for you. So we can quickly access all of these variables. So, and you can see that the transcription is actually very, very good. Both of those are representative of what I said in the call. So with that little script, you can do so much to access your transcriptions of these voicemail messages. There you have it. We just created a voice mailbox using Twilio Studio, and we wrote a short Python script to retrieve transcripts of those calls so that you don't have to listen to all of them manually, and you can just go through the transcripts to see what types of messages people have left. So that's going to do it for this video, but I'll be back with other short tutorials about programmable communications. So subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll be back soon with some more content. So stay safe, be well, and I will see you all soon.